pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Toylo Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Today's date, August the 16th, and 1 week away from the Southern University Jaguars opening up the 2025 football season in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. Here's what's trending. Well, let me first tell you who is our guest. Our guest menu. It'll be Toylo Brown III. He covers Southern University for the Advocate. He'll join us in the bottom of the first hour. Here's what's trending on the Toylo Brown Show. There are a couple of additions to the SU football program that I'll talk about. Also, 2025 season opener is 1 week away for the Southern University football team. And then we'll have just my perspective on the Southern University football camp. I got a chance to see the scrimmage last Saturday night in A.W. Mumford Stadium. So that's what's trending on the Toylo Brown Show. Our guest, Toylo Brown III. Now we'll introduce the panel. As always, they're coming in one by one. Charles Edmond. Good morning. I guess coming out from the heat in the Alcorn State scrimmage. Coach Pettaway, good morning. And A.T. Brown. Good afternoon, sir. How is everybody doing today?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hey, Charles, how you doing?
Yeah,
It's hot out there, brother.
yeah, Charles. I'm like you, man. It's a hot day. Alabama A&M is having their fan day, and then when I get to the stadium, we find out that the elevator's not working.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so that's about 4 or 5 flights up, and it's kind of rough the first thing in the morning.
Well, that's why you have to get your steps in when you can, because you never know.
It's going to be rough regardless, Carlos. It's going to be rough regardless. When you reach a certain age, rough is an adjective that goes along as par for the course.
That's right. The saying is Mother Nature and Father Time, they're undefeated.
That's right.
But it's a blessing to be able to get old.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So it's par for the course. Well, let's get right into it. Last Saturday, we'll hear from Alabama and them, Coach Pettaway, Charles. Just coming from a scrimmage, a major scrimmage, for Southern University last week. Got a chance to catch some of the scrimmage inside the new turf at A.W. Mumford Stadium. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful, if I say so myself. Quarterback play. I know that's usually what everybody looks at. In my opinion, I think it's sold up. Now, guys, tell me. I try to be objective, but if I'm not objective, you can scold me. You have permission to do so. But Willa, I think Wood separated himself.
Carlos, it should be sold up. It should be sold up now. You're a week out. It's cherry picking time, that sort of thing. It should be sold up. And, like we said last week, Woods deserves every opportunity to start that season off, based off of what he did last year and going through the spring and, everything else. He deserves it. He's earned it, obviously. And, it's just time to get busy.
Yeah. I mean, one of the advantages he has is, having a season under his belt, also a spring practice, a couple of spring practices. So just in my opinion, he has separated himself. I believe he will be the starting quarterback when they open the season next Saturday. Also, speaking of quarterbacks, there has been concern about not having enough quarterbacks, bodies in camp. Well, Southern picked up one, Ashton Struthers from Memphis, Tennessee, Oklahoma Community College, about 6'3", 210. He's in Baton Rouge. Two days ago, he made it into Baton Rouge. Also,
Carlos, you broke up a little bit.
Oh, I'm hearing feedback for some reason.
That may be from Coach Pettaway. Yeah, from where he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
You hear me clear now? I'm okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Kendrick Sims, defensive tackle, 6'3", about 325. He made it Pearl River Community College. He made it into camp. So that's an extra body, a space eater. Now the question will be, now he has to get into football shape because he's missed camp basically, but he will be somebody I believe you could count on as well. So those are two additions to the roster. Also, you look at Mr. Holly, comes over from LSU, right? He walked on to the program. It's going to be hard to keep him off the field, in my opinion. Also, Mike Franklin, a bruiser type of running back. O-line seems like they're still gelling. They still have a week of preparation for next week. Defense, strong, solid. But it's about just getting better at this point, Charles. You're looking at a North Carolina Central team that's going to be tough. They're going to be physical. That's how I've seen them the last couple of years. Coach Oliver, saw him coach at Southern University, defensive coordinator. He's very confident that his team will come out and perform well. For Southern University, in some point in the game, in the season, you'll have some adversity. How do you respond to that? How do you get better every day in practice? As Wheeler said, now it's basically they know who the starters are.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. So now it's the time now to just hone in and say, hey, look, this is what we've done. We've prepared for North Carolina Central all summer. Now it is 1 week from the opening, and we'll see how Southern University goes. There are some that I've talked to. They're concerned. They're worried about this North Carolina Central team. Will the Jaguar team be ready? I think they will be. And I think they're going to surprise some people, in my opinion, about this upcoming football season. Pick first to come out of the West. That's on paper. You've got to put it on the field, and you got to improve every week. Gentlemen, what say you?
Well, Carlos, I just want the new guys that just came in this week. You all can't be expecting too much from them.
Nah.
Yeah, I mean that these are your quarterback and whoever and the defensive lineman. Those are probably guys they're looking at for the future.
Well, some point in the season, with the quarterback coming in, everybody was concerned that you didn't have that fourth quarterback. So now the young freshman probably will redshirt. But let's see how up to speed that he can get. Because you're right, Coach Pettaway. Coming in at this point, that's why I was saying that I would like to see after he has a spring training under his belt, get to know the offense a little better. Right now it's probably a crash course. You remember in college those cliff notes that you use, but let's see if he gets better. And then the space eater, I mean, he was highly recruited. I know for a fact Jackson State wanted him very badly. Very badly. So I think he will provide some he'll provide some help. Now, week 1, no. Week 2, probably not. Week 3, let's see after about 4 weeks into September, because the season is long.
Yeah, I don't expect a heck of a lot either at this point. You're behind. You're going to try to play catch up and get the meaningful reps that you need. Mm-hmm. It's good to have those bodies. Yes. Are they up to speed? No. The question is how much you're going to rush it. You don't want to do that either. So it's a delicate balance of going too fast and rushing it and not getting it, or not having it at all. So I think you would not worry about that for those two individuals.
Right.
But to your point about Southern University, Carlos, it's all about one thing, buddy. It's all about one thing: getting to Atlanta. Whatever steps need to be taken to get the Jaguar Nation, get you to Atlanta. That's what it's about. And it's not going to be easy for Southern University. Woods has separated himself. He should be the starter. He's the one that led this team in the SWAC championship game. The quarterback room is different. Last year you had Noah Bowden and others. It's different this year. But the road this year is tough, especially the first 2 weeks. You play Central in Atlanta and you go to Mississippi Valley. That's not going to be easy. So it's going to be one of those grinds where Southern's got to come out of the gates fast. If they do that, then I do think they'll be in a comfortable position early on. But the Braves are coming. We know Pravy's coming. Jermaine Jackson says he's coming. So,
just tell him to show up. Promise 2 things: to be there and be tough.
Yeah, I mean we'll see about that. You know, they got Texas Southern right off the bat, so we'll definitely get an early test. But look, I mean, Southern right off the bat, you're going to see a whole lot about this Jaguar team. I think Coach Graves is chomping at the bit. And hey, for Southern University, they've done everything over the years. I just look back over the last 4 or 5 years. What teams from the West have been in the SWAC championship game, right? It's been Prairie View. It's been Southern University. They've been, 4 times over the last few years. They've been knocking on the door. They've been knocking, but can't kick it in. So I think
gotta finish.
And so this could be the year, but you got some tough battles coming up. So we'll see. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the Jaguars are going to do. And right here, I had the towel around my neck. And by the way, Coach Pettaway, the elevator doesn't work here either.
Wow.
It's tough.
Hey, it worked last Saturday for me. They knew who was coming in the press box.
Well, I was sitting next to the elevator guy at lunch yesterday. He said he's gonna have it working. So I don't know what happened. But
well, hey Charles, I didn't find out until I pressed the button. When I pressed the button, it came up. He says, "Oh, it's not working." I said, "What?" And then I was in a panic mode. Then I said, "Man, it's 10 till. How am I gonna get way up there and be ready to go?" But Coach Shades is already the football team has left the field. They're getting ready to start their little scrimmage. But now, Charles, it's already 89 degrees here in Huntsville, and they're just not getting ready to start their scrimmage. I think within 30 minutes, and fan day is going real well. And Coach Shades, his thing is the chase is on. So now he's letting everybody know that the chase is on. That lets them know that the Bulldogs are coming. So my hat's off to him, and I look forward to this season. This will be their second big-time scrimmage for the fall. So I'm just praying and hoping that everybody comes out of this healthy.
And speaking of scrimmages, for us guys, this was the dress rehearsal for the season. They're going to have some sort of mock stuff on Wednesday night, but all the installations were done today. I think Wednesday night is just going to be a little window dressing in and out, get the ones out there on the kickoff and that sort of thing under the lights. But the real deal was today. And so I think at this point, and I think probably for Southern, are they going to have a scrimmage tonight at Southern? Nope. So
they're on the practice field right now.
So the dress rehearsal may have been, you think it was last week?
Put it this way. Let's put it in context. These scrimmages, they're basic, Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to show a whole lot. So it was basic because last Saturday, some fans told me after halftime, they broke for halftime, and then everybody left out of the stadium. Now, some told me they were asked to leave by campus police, but it's basic. They're not going to show a whole lot. Yeah, it's a dress rehearsal. Yeah, but
the hard work is done, Carlos. The hard work is done. Yeah, the hard work is done. And, they're just fine-tuning. Everybody's fine-tuning now. I think classes have pretty much started for everybody this past week. And so, it's a wind-down type of mode that everybody's in right now. if you don't know who's at your top two positions everywhere on the field, then you have deeper problems than you even know about.
Yeah.
The two new kids that are there at Southern, not going to expect much out of them. Your quarterback kid, he's gone through some competition this summer, which was great. I think coach, just didn't want to hand him the position on a silver platter, so he made him work for it, made him appreciate it a little
As,
more, that sort of thing. He
as
rose
should.
to the occasion, and so it's his job. He's ready to take that team and run with it, and trusting in the experience that Coach Graves has, along with his assistants and everybody. They know what North Carolina Central is going to bring to the table. Ain't no secrets out there, Carlos.
Yeah.
So ain't no trick packages and all that sort of thing. It's button up the chin strap. It's just line it up. I'm
Physicality.
coming at you. I'm going to run it down your throat if I can. If I can't, I'm going to hit the passes that I need to hit. Defensively, we're going to strap it up and, come at you and bring all the bells and whistles that we have at our disposal. And, at the end of next Saturday, hopefully we'll come out on top. And then we'll move on to week 2 and to week 3 and keep it moving from there.
Yeah,
gotta win the week. And
right. Carlos, I think here on the Hill, we might be a little bit behind everybody because our freshmen are just coming in. Our freshmen are just coming in this weekend. I think with you all, Southern should be in their game routine since they got a game next week. And whereas we're still they're still adding people and still doing things because classes haven't started here, and our freshmen are just coming on campus this weekend. So it's a little bit different here. But I do know this at Coach Shay's, when you go out to practice, man, they're very physical. The other thing that I noticed, man, is up tempo. He has speeded up things. I really like sitting watching his practice because there's no downtime. They just constant motion, man. And I really like that. I think that's probably some of that University of Alabama. He probably got that from the University of Alabama when he was playing there. Because I think that's the way they conduct their practices over the years. Everything's up tempo. Reminds me of a good basketball game. Let's get it on.
Well, for you guys, Coach Pettaway, it's to you all's advantage, that school hasn't started yet. Because they're able to practice a little longer and all that sort of thing. So that's an advantage for you guys.
Right.
You're able to work with the kids a little longer, things of that nature. So that would be a plus in my mind.
Right. And then Will, doesn't your practice time, your first date start with has something to do with your first contest?
Yeah.
So see, we're not playing this week. That's why Southern is so ahead. And then the other thing, Carlos, this is for the Jag Nation now. I ended up listening to the football coach from North Carolina Central, man. He's very sure about himself. He talked about his offensive line.
There you go. Got a box.
Yep. He talked about how experienced his offensive line was, and they had everybody coming back, and they added some additions. He also mentioned the fact that on the defensive line, they upgraded there, and he's got so many starters back that he's looking forward. He expects his team to pick up where they left off last year, and that's because he got so many returning players. Now, I know in basketball, if I had a bunch of returning players, I would feel pretty good about my upcoming season too, because they already know the system. They know how to react to me as the coach because they've been there before. So that could be a plus for North Carolina Central. I think it's going to come down to what you all have already said. It's the team that's going to come out and be the most physical. Somebody got to come out and hit somebody in the mouth. You don't even know where you are until you get hit in the mouth. And I think that whoever throws that first blow, I think is going to set the tone for the season. And that's normally how these things go. So I'm looking forward to that game of Southern and North Carolina Central. And I hope my buddy Coach Graves got his troops ready. And the biggest thing, I hope they're healthy. That's the biggest thing. You want to go into your first ball game healthy. And that's what I'm looking for.
Well, everybody going to play these little games now, Coach Pettaway. Last month, the guy from Central was complaining about how many kids of his went into the transfer portal. So, everybody trying to play a certain angle up right now, and right now you can't poor mouth your team. You got to go up there and you got to say, we're going to be this, that, and the other. We're going to do this, that, and the other. We're ready to go, la-di-da, so forth, so on. And, but as we just stated, at the end of the day, you got to button it up. It's time to go.
Well, I have a question.
Physicality.
Yep.
When I think about North Carolina Central, that's what I think about. Again, Coach Oliver, you know him. He was the defensive coordinator under Dawson Odoms at Southern University. Their offensive coordinator coached here at Southern University. So it's some things you pick up on. Throwing the first punch, but also when you get hit, can you come back and throw a combination? And so that's the physicality. If you kind of look at panel, preseason predictions, all of that, I think Southern is the underdog in this, according to the prognosticators.
What?
Those who, yes, sir.
I don't know about that one, Carlos.
No. Hear me out.
On that one, guys.
Hear me out. Social media, the fans. You can look in the chat room right now. I know they don't coach. I don't coach, but I would have a speak softly and carry a big stick attitude. I don't have to talk a lot. Just when it's time to show up, we get to popping. And at the end of the day, I see in the chat room, excellent game plan, EA. Stack the box, 7 and 8. It's different this year. I dare you to do it. I dare you to do it.
Well, let me bring up a point. I'm going to take a wider view. All right. So high expectations for North Carolina Central. They've been in a Celebration Bowl recently. They've hoisted that trophy. They won the MEAC. Southern University trying to obviously get there. Which team has the most pressure going into the season? Trey Oliver trying to get back there, or Southern University and trying to at least get to Atlanta? Which has the higher expectation?
My opinion, probably.
I think it's Southern.
I think it's equal. Both have high expectations. North Carolina Central, they didn't get by South Carolina State. And by the way, of not a first-year coach and Coach Berry, who by the way, coached at Southern University. But the first year he goes up against Oliver, he wins, right? Mm-hmm. Does that mean anything? Does it?
In the moment,
Coach Berry's been around a long time, Carlos. Yeah. So it's not like he's a rookie at this thing.
So it's Oliver.
Did well when he got his first head coaching job. Did very well, I thought. And, going right down the street at South Carolina State, everything just kind of naturally gravitated in that direction. So he had a lot of advantages, but going into a Buddy Pugh program, that was pretty much set up for success.
Was it pressure?
He just had to add a few pieces to the puzzle.
No.
But is it still
and did a good job.
But is it pressure to come behind somebody that did well? Like Coach Pettaway, somebody comes behind him in basketball. You don't think it's some pressure?
Yeah, but Coach Berry handled the pressure very
exactly.
Well.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, I would think that him going to the game last year, and coming out on the short end of the stick, being a first-year coach, that sort of thing, while there was some pressure there, some people would say he probably got there a little earlier. I mean, Coach Graves has been around for a while. Southern's been in the hunt now for a number of years. So I would think that, it'd be just as much pressure on Southern in terms of getting over that hump now, getting over
Mm-hmm.
that hump. Been
Mm-hmm.
knocking on the door, knocking on the door, knocking on the door. Now's the time for them to kick that door in and go ahead and finish the job.
I think for Coach Berry, though, I think it was kind of a soft landing for him. When I say soft landing is when you've been handpicked,
Mm-hmm.
and we know we know the previous coach is a legend, a Hall of Famer. When you've been
Mm-hmm.
kind of handpicked, it is a little bit softer landing. And
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken, South Carolina State didn't have a necessarily great season in Coach Pugh's last year. So it was one of those things where you walk in and you look at the recent success or not. And so Coach Berry probably exceeded expectations in year one, but I do think it was kind of a softer landing for him. Now, Coach Graves was already on the staff, coming off of dealing what he had to deal with and taking something, winning the Bayou Classic, and then obviously getting the job and then winning the SWAC. So I think it was a little bit tougher because the Jaguar Nation and more is expected right off the bat. So I think it's two different coaches coming in under two different set of circumstances. Both did well. And but I Brian Fulford just chimed in. North Carolina Central, according to some computer gurus, is a 10-point favorite. That's interesting. That's really interesting. I mean,
keep your money in your pocket on that.
I think personally it's a pick'em game. I mean, I think it could go either way. I mean, if Southern's defense repeated what it did last year, and if they get a little bit more offensive punch, I think Southern will win the game. But if it's a high-scoring game, I think that's what Coach Oliver's looking for. I think he's looking for a shootout. He feels like he can get it in that realm.
See, that's interesting because I'll go back to a basketball analogy. I think North Carolina Central wants to keep it low scoring and rely on their defense. If it's high scoring, I think it's gonna favor Southern University. To me, North Carolina Central is not explosive, but their strengths are defense, special team, good, solid play. But I still stand by my statement. Most of the prognosticators, those who have not been to a practice, but those who have been following what has been going on over a few years, Southern is the underdog. I stand by that.
I just think.
I'm not saying that.
I just think.
Oh
Southern's
yeah.
a little bit more physical, Carlos. I believe Southern's a little bit more physical. I just do. And I think the team that's able to run the ball effectively is going to be the team that comes out on top come Saturday, regardless of the score. I think the running game early in the season is paramount. The passing game, I think it takes a little bit longer to develop and, get into a groove, that sort of thing. But the running game, it's about lining up, knocking the snot out of somebody, and let's hit these holes and let's get after it. And
can you tell Will is an offensive lineman, huh?
That part I think comes to the table a little earlier than the other part.
Yeah.
So I think if Southern's able to run that ball, and they're physical up front, I think they come away with the win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be up front.
And vice versa.
Got you down, Will.
Central's able to bully Southern's front four around, and they're able to, to run that ball effectively, then it may be a long day for Southern.
Yeah, I just think, man, the excitement is here. I think with you all being a week away, I'm excited for Southern and for North Carolina Central because it's football time. And see, we still got to wait a couple of weeks, even though we're going up against the SEC opponent. But I'm looking forward to the season. I think the teams in the SWAC have a lot of them have improved over the summer. Well, when I say the summer, I'm talking about in terms of recruiting and getting personnel in. And when you listen around the league, everybody feels good about their team this time of the year.
Yes, sir.
You know, everybody feels the same way that they got an opportunity, and they do. Everybody's undefeated now.
0-0. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's undefeated now, so all their goals are still intact. And I think injuries will play a big part into the success of the teams that's going to win the SWAC this year. And you just got to stay healthy, man. You got to stay healthy. You got to have a little luck. And when I say luck comes in a number of ways. Number one, you got to make a few plays during the course of the year, all right, that you normally wouldn't make. Number two, luck comes in, you staying healthy. You staying healthy. Luck comes in with your team buying in. So these are all ingredients to have a great year and also a championship year.
Yeah, and for you guys, Coach Pettaway, I think week 2 will be the true test. You know, let's just be honest. If you're playing up the first week, that's tough.
Who are they playing in week 2?
Alcorn.
Because
and that's a true
find
test.
out some things in week 1. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they'll find out some things in week 1. You know, they'll find out about their level of toughness. They'll find out about, you know, their system, that sort of thing. So, you know, there's some lessons that are going to be learned either way. They'll find out about the competitiveness, things of that nature. You know, all those things are going to come to front, regardless of whether or not you're playing up or playing down. You know, but even more so because they're playing up. So it's going to be a lot of little things to look for outside of the final score, that sort of thing, in terms of their measurement of success, whether or not it's been a good week for them, that sort of thing. And then, you know, moving on to Alcorn after that, you know, coming back to a team that they should rightfully be in a game with and possibly have an opportunity to win, that sort of thing. That part is just icing on the cake.
And you know, and then we'll get a timeout and then get to our first guest. You know, at a certain point in fall camp, you know, you run up against the wall. You're tired of hitting each other, you know, and so when game week comes, now you have an opportunity to test what you've learned, your toughness, and then you going after your first opponent. With that being said, in the chat room, I appreciate everybody. They're going at it as usual. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, and we appreciate you. We're going to take a timeout. Let's see if we can find Toylo Brown, the third. No relations, but a great last name. He'll
I would
join.
agree.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He will join us here on the Toylo Brown Show. And then, of course, we'll continue to have some news about camps throughout the SWAC, HBCU football, because now you're looking for Southern University. This time next week, it's week 0 for them. The following week. And also, people with their predictions, and we kind of see how it is in the chat room now. Some of them got Southern losing by double digits or more. That'll be interesting. If it doesn't come to that, and next week is a different outcome that you're predicting, you know how I say I speak soft and carry a big stick? That big stick is going to be all over the place. It's going to be all over the place. We shall see. You're watching the Toylo Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return. We shall return after this timeout. You know what? Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show. I must admit, I was looking in the chat room. How arrogant of some of the Jackson State people. If they wanted him, they could get him. If they wanted him. So you didn't want him. Okay. I know different. I know different. And I'll leave it at that. See, because Southern fans and Jackson State fans are just alike. Cocky and arrogant. The sun rises and it sets. Welcome back to the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Mr. Brown, I believe, is ready to join us here on the Carlos Brown Show. It'll be the second time I got a chance to meet him in person last week at the scrimmage at the A.W. Mumford Stadium. So, with that being said, we'll be joined by Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, good morning. How you doing? You're muted.
Oh, sorry about that. Rookie mistake. How you guys doing?
We're doing fabulous. It's 1 week away for Southern University in North Carolina Central. Week 0 in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. What have you, from your perspective, you've been out watching fall camp, what are some of the highlights that you see in your perspective from 2025 fall camp?
Yeah. So I'll start off with defense. I know offense is always fun to talk about. I like to start with defense. The secondary had a lot of returners. They have guys like Horatio Johnson, Herman Brister, Eric Reed, and a couple transfers. And when I asked Coach Graves, I think week 2 or so during camp, like which position group is the head of schedule, he jumped instantly to say the secondary, the DBs and the safeties. He said that group has a lot of continuity as well as the transfers. One of them is named Zay Franks from Southern Miss. He's like a 6'3" cornerback safety type. Guys like him are fitting in very well with the system, and yeah, they feel really confident in their ability to be another great season of having really good pass defense. So that's the first that I want to highlight. Kelby Givens, obviously the defensive end, the Southern football star player. He's as much of a leader as you would expect of a senior that led the FCS in tackles for loss last year. He's stellar so far. And I guess to jump the offense, the running back position, everyone knows that there's a lot of names, Trey Holly, Mike Franklin, a couple of returners like Barry Mo, Jason Gabriel. The running back group is a lot of depth. They feel like it's they don't want to outright say it, but I think they feel like it's a lot more depth than last year when they had the 3 running backs they relied on. And I think that competitiveness is making each of the players better. So those are the few things that come to mind when it comes to these are the highlights of fall camp and what they're really looking forward to.
And it's interesting because also, and his name escapes me, but transferred in. He's from Baton Rouge, from Prairie View. So it looks like, let's say, you might see 2 6'3" cornerbacks starting. And to me, that is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Traylon James, I believe, from Prairie View. I think a redshirt sophomore, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure I haven't spoken to him yet, but he's back. He's back home, obviously, and I'm sure he's very excited. And yeah, that length and athleticism with some elite tackles, open field tackles like Herman Brister and Horatio Johnson. I believe both of them were preseason swag, first and second team on defense. So yeah, I think the secondary. You don't want to. Obviously, once the season starts, we'll see how it actually looks, who's out there the majority of snaps. But I think they feel really good about the 5 or 6 players they have that they can throw in there and reliably get good defense from.
Toylo, what I get this question asked a lot. I'm not sure if you do, but but Kelvin Givens, who do you think will have a chance to play opposite at the other end position, the edge?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the D line is something that has been rebuilt. They lost about 3 starters from the SWAC championship game that they had next to Kelby. So in terms of who I think probably the safest bet right now is a player named Zach Yassin. He's a D tackle, redshirt senior. He played. He's more in the rotation rather than a starter last year, and he's like 6'1", 6'2", 290, and he's someone that I think has all the experience in the world. Been in Southern since 2023, if I'm not mistaken. He started his career at a different school to transfer out his freshman year. And he looks the part. He's also a leader as well. I know that very, very values as he's there. As well as and the D tackle group is a little bit on the younger side. What's up?
Oh no,
Oh no,
you're
you
on
kind
mute.
of went in and out a little bit.
Can you guys hear me a little bit better right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's better now.
Okay.
Also, a lot of times is quarterback play. Now,
Mhm.
I've come out and said that Jalen Woods will when he'll get the first snap. Do you think that's going to be the case?
I think so as well. You know how Southern is. At least the culture that they're creating is one of incredible competitiveness. So they don't want to guarantee anyone a spot. Even like a guy like Kelby Givens, he's present like he doesn't have a guaranteed spot as the DE. But no, I would agree that I think Jalen Woods is the prohibitive favorite. They have said that it's his job to lose. He's the only returner at quarterback. He did a good job in his 2 starts that he had at the end of the last season. He didn't play in the SWAC championship due to a concussion. So that would have been a really good data point to have to see how he looked against Jackson State. But no, I think Jalen Woods, he looks good. He looks confident. He looks a little bit bigger, about 6'2", 190, 195. And he looks like he feels like he owns that starting job. And he's also looks like he's guiding the other quarterbacks along with him who aren't as acclimated to Mark Frederick's system, the offensive coordinator system. The other quarterbacks are Cameron McCoy from Jackson State, more of a dual threat, and the freshman Dylan Compton. So, again, it's no guarantees, but I think Jalen Woods has the job.
Well, they're going to say, the coaches, up
Mm-hmm.
until the last second, then you'll see who the starter is. But yeah, I think Woods has command of the offense, and he has separated himself. They did add another quarterback, Ashton Struthers. So we talked a little bit about him. That's that 4th body in camp. Now, O-line. A lot of questions about that. A lot of people want to know, can they get better? Are they better? Will they settle on that left tackle, the missing piece in the starting unit? But I think they will play 8 to 9 offensive linemen, just in my opinion. Whatever the coach has said about that.
Yeah, no, so the offensive line, they actually do have a good number of returners. They've returned their center, they returned their right tackle. My prediction is that they're going to probably move one of the tackles or one of the guards to left tackle, unless they really trust one of the newbies that they brought in to take that new left tackle spot. That's the only returner, that's the only starting spot where they didn't have a returner. Um, but yeah, no, I think Terrence Graves, when I asked him about the offensive tackle or offensive line overall, he likes it a lot. He thinks that with guys, if you have at least 3 or 4 players that are back, either regardless if they start or not, it's really about continuity. It's really about chemistry. So if you have 7 offensive linemen back that all have good relationships, have practiced multiple weeks with each other, if you need to slot one in as a new starter, they should be able to fit right in because they already have that chemistry, that connection. They know how to be together and work together. Um, so yeah, the left tackle spot's still one that obviously that's usually the most important spot on the offensive line. We'll see week 1 unless Terrence Graves reveals that on Tuesday when we have our media availability. But right now, I think the offensive line is in a good spot, a good position, because they have at least 3 starters back as well as multiple backups that are back from last year.
Yeah, that played. Also, special teams. We don't talk a lot about it, but
Yeah.
it's very important. I know Zimmerman is a freshman from Central High, highly regarded. Also, you have the punter returning from last season. I think improvement has to be with kickoff coverage, punt return. Overall, I think they would agree that they meaning the staff, do a better job, have better performances from special teams coverage. What has the coaching staff said about it?
Yeah, the special teams is obviously very important. I think Terrence Graves was once a special teams coordinator at Southern, if I'm not mistaken. So I know he doesn't let that sort of slip his mind. They haven't revealed too much in terms of the return team, like who's going to be the main person returning. I think I've seen Trey Holly back there. I think I've seen a couple other running backs back there. I think Kobe Brown, a receiver that was there last year. I think he's a sophomore now. He's someone that I think they would not mind having for punt or kick returns. In terms of the freshman you brought up, Nathan Zimmer, he's really good. He had a 42-yard field goal during the scrimmage that kind of opened eyes right before we were kicked out. The fans and the media, because they had the second half sort of private. But no, they have their punter back, Kenny Pham. I think he is a junior this year. He's someone that they have a lot of trust in. They think is reliable. And yeah, we'll see if the kicker, the freshman, is able to live up to his height.
Well, you notice Charles dipped his head because he came from Alcorn State, and so he's still looking off. But it'll be interesting. Now, you just confirmed. I left after halftime, but some fans had said they were asked to leave.
Mhm.
So I guess when they went to the part that they didn't want anybody to see.
Yeah, they wanted. I asked around right before after we spoke to Coach Graves, sort of at that halftime period. I asked like, "Oh, can we stay? Just no cameras," but we were told to exit. So I guess Southern really wants to be secretive. They know this North Carolina Central game is a really big deal. They want to get off to the right start. I guess they don't want to take any chances that someone like myself or someone else may reveal like, "Oh, we're doing this sort of strategic type of deal." So. Yeah, I understand it, but we're literally a week away, and we'll see exactly what they plan on doing.
Panel, any questions for TJ?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
What unit have you been covering Southern from the beginning here? What unit is kind of surprised you? Like going in, you thought, I don't know, but has exceeded your expectation based on what you've seen in camp?
I would say the unit that surprised me. I would go with the D line. Obviously, Kelby Givens. We know what he is. He's as reliable of a productive force as you can imagine. Every year, he's been starting since his freshman year. He's gotten better and better and better. It's hard not to see him get even better, or at least maintain. But the rest of the D line, they pretty much are either they ran out of eligibility or they transferred. I think they have one guy. Uh, I'm not sure it was Jelani Cotton, but one of the players from last year starting D line transferred to Kent State, and he was someone that was pretty productive. So we know what
Delaney.
Kelby Gibbons does. Yep, we know what Kelby Gibbons is able to do. Like who else is able to benefit from when he gets doubled and triple teamed at times when that happens during the season. And right now, I think they like what they have. I just did a story, I think came out yesterday, on a freshman transfer from LSU, Demarion Johnson, who the coaching staff really likes. Not guaranteeing any type of starting position from day one, but I'll make a pretty sound bet that they'll definitely insert him at some point, whether it's week 1 or beyond. They have other guys. I think his name's Jaden Rogers. He's someone that was listed as an offensive lineman last year, who's now, I believe, a redshirt sophomore this year. Is on the D tackle side. Very strong, in better shape, they said. So yeah, the D line they go against a pretty experienced offensive line as a less experienced group, and it looks like they're holding their own. And I think I wouldn't have expected that.
Hey, TJ, for me, I'm Vann Pettaway. TJ, what's your title, man?
What's my job title?
Yeah.
I am the Southern beat reporter. When I'm not covering Southern, I cover LSU men's basketball. Okay, I got you. Okay. So I just want to make sure you weren't a student, because you're well versed. No, I'm sorry. I graduated.
Okay. Oh yeah, is the under the 30 age group, so that's good. I remember that a long time ago.
Okay, all right. Good job, man. Good job on knowing the personnel, and you got it going on, man. I like that. I like to see that.
No, thank you. I'm definitely gonna hopefully get even better as these games happen. I see who's actually out there for sure.
Yeah, you will, and then also getting acclimated to Baton Rouge. I think you told us the last time you were on. You're from Tennessee, or you worked in Tennessee.
Yeah.
The last time. So it's a change that most people like. A couple of guys from the junior college ranks. Scott, defensive tackle. Getting used to the climate, the humidity. And I think in your article they talked about, the coach said they made the adjustment, because it is a big adjustment, as far as weather-wise.
Yeah, those are the 2 D tackles, Darren Scott you mentioned, and Habib Bello, West Coast kids, come down to the South. And I'm sure in California, I think Habib is from Washington, state of Washington. Yeah. Said it's a different level of heat than the West Coast here in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, even Charles is. I think he's recovered from being out at Alcorn scrimmage, because it's pretty hot,
Yep.
But they're young. They're young. They'll be able to handle it. You had an article that you talked about also the wide receiver room, and then also a couple of players to watch for this upcoming season. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. I'll talk about the wide receiver room at first. I got to speak to obviously coach, coordinator Mark Frederick, offensive coordinator, and I spoke to a wide receiver, Cam Jefferson, as well as Darren Morris a little later on. And the wide receiver room wants to be the position group on offense that can be, in their words, the tone setters. They want to be able to not just impact statistically, but also just energy wise and be leaders. Cam Jefferson, he's a returner from last year. He's someone that initially was more of a special teams player, that eventually proved himself to be someone that's in the rotation once there were injuries to like Woodfield, Tyler Kirkwood from last year. And Cam Jefferson, he has the confidence, and he feels that he can, if he doesn't start, which it looks like he will be starting next to Darren Morris at wide receiver, that he's going to be able to be impactful and leading into Darren Morris. He's supposed to be the number 1 receiver. He's someone that has all the skills, all the physical traits, 6'2", also around 190, 195, put on about 10 plus pounds of muscle over this offseason while still maintaining that speed. And he pretty much feels like he needs to have that breakout year. Even though he led the team in receiving yards around like 436, that's not a lot of receiving yards for your leading receiver overall. And he felt that way himself. He's someone that has talked to Chandler Whitfield. He's worked with him over the summer and has been trying to be like him in terms of a threat that's consistent, reliable. He wants to be able to go farther down the field and get more vertical plays, which is more of a strength rather than the short plays. The wide receiver room feels really good. They feel really confident. That's the word that Terrence Graves used. They feel very confident they're making some plays here in the fall camp. And when you see yourself make plays, you want to make even more plays, is what Terrence Graves said. And yeah, back to the article you mentioned about some under the radar players that are not the sexiest names, not the stars like Kelby and Darren Morris, or the transfers like Trey Holly, but some returners that went from not playing too much to hopefully playing more this year. The first name that comes to mind was Jermaine Minor, tight end. I believe he's a redshirt junior, if I'm not mistaken. He's been at Southern for a little while now, and he's pretty much backing up to Pre Fuller at the tight end spot. And he's someone that at 6'5", I think 225, has the physical talent to make an impact. And Mark Frederick thinks that he's ready to take that jump and be someone that's a bit more of a threat in the pass game and the block game. Another guy they brought up was Barry Remo, a running back, who is amongst that 8% competitive group that has a lot of names, and he's one of the 2 returners. And he's someone that comes from Baton Rouge. They went to Catholic High. He's sort of a traditional downhill runner, and they feel that he's been putting in the work. He's not shied away from the competition. He's only elevated his game. So even though he may not be the splashiest name, the most exciting running back in the room, he's based off my conversation, he looks like he's definitely going to get his opportunity at some point, and we'll see what he does with it. And on the defensive side, I already brought him up, but Jaden Rogers is someone that they've been impressed by. He was listed as an offensive lineman last year. Now at D-tackle, he's using that size and being in better shape to hopefully be someone that also draws double teams himself. And so it's not just Kelby Givens getting double teamed every time down on every play.
You know, it's going to be interesting. I guess press conference Tuesday.
Yep, Tuesday.
They'll release the depth chart, I believe, at that time. Maybe not. It's going to be interesting who gets the start at running back, because you have you mentioned Barry Romo, Princeton Cahee, pretty fast, Franklin, and then Holly. Boy, that's going to be interesting. They all will play, but Wheeler said last week he's going with the hot guy, and but it's going to be interesting who gets the start.
Yeah, me and another reporter spoke to the running back coach a few days ago. First-year coach Marcus Bradley came from Prairie View, has a connection with Mark Frederick, who was also at Prairie View as the OC. He's didn't reveal any cards in terms of who has the lead when it comes to the running back position.
Right.
But they feel that's a good problem to have. They feel that having a group that they feel is so close together, that's only going to make them stronger. And that decision might change week to week. The person that starts the first couple of weeks may not be the person that gets the majority of snaps midway through the season. So yeah, we'll see. It's hard to ignore the Trey Holly part of it, because Trey Holly, obviously, he not just a splashy name, but he has the credentials. He had a really good true freshman year at LSU. In high school, I think he's the all-time leading rushing leader in Louisiana high school football. So it's hard to ignore that. He had a really nice run. His first true touch at the scrimmage, I think he ripped off a 24-yard run, did one little jump cut towards the middle, and was gone. So they gave him a little two-hand touch. So yeah, we'll see for sure. But that's a good problem to have a lot of depth at the running back position.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I'm gonna go to sleep on it and then make a prediction who I think will get the start.
Yeah.
But they will all get a chance to play. Well, TJ, we appreciate the time. You'll be in Atlanta this time next week. So MEAC SWAC Challenge, a lot on the line. It's just one game, but a very important game. And it will tell us a little something about the season at hand in 2025. Appreciate you coming on. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk again real soon.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I'm excited. A week from now, I'll be in Atlanta watching a football game. We'll see what Southern has to offer. I'm pretty excited just to see, again, not the final product, but the product they finally put out, to see what translates. Have a good rest of your day, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
TJ Brown III of the Advocate. And Charles, I want to go back to something you said in hour number 1. Southern has a tough road. They have a tough opening to the season. But Wheeler, I wouldn't have it no other way. You know,
they're not playing up, Carlos. They're not playing up.
Yeah.
So, you're facing somebody that's right on your level,
Good
that you
competition to
have a
start
great
off.
opportunity of being successful in. And that's what you want. It's a tough, it's a tough opponent, no doubt about that. But you really wouldn't want it any other way, because
I would.
it's going to pick the tone for your season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I go back to what the previous coach at FAMU, Willie Simmons, said. FAMU used to open up against Jackson State, right? And so there was some questions about that particular schedule. Like, why would you do that? And Willie Simmons said, you know what? I want to know where my team stands week one,
Mm-hmm.
right off the bat. And so I kind of agree that you want to know where your team stands. I mean, we talked about Southern schedule. Yeah. You got 2 tough games on the road. And I'm looking at the chat group and somebody comment, what about Cedric Thomas at Alcorn? What? I mean, hey, I'm not running from it. We can talk about it. This is a big year. This is a big year for Cedric Thomas in year 2. And for a lot of our fans, a lot of them were just kind of sitting on the sidelines until the last few weeks. I did some interviews with some of our coaches, and some folks feel a little bit more optimistic about this Braves team this year than they were a month ago. I think, and I saw a comment about Coach Mark Fredericks, offensive coordinators, people not impressed from the Jaguar perspective about his play calling and all that. I think for us, Jermaine Gales in this box storm offense, people want to see a little bit more from this box storm offense that we have in store for this season. And so I think we're kind of parallel in terms of that. But it's a big year for Cedric Thomas in year 2. We don't play at home until October 5th. You got Northwestern State, a team that's lost, I think, 22 or 23 games in a row. They haven't won a game since the 22 season. And then obviously week 2, Alabama A&M, where we're going. I'll be right there where Coach Pettaway is in week 2. That's going to be, and I think those 2 games right there, Carlos, are going to say quite a bit about this Braves team. You got a Northwestern State team that hadn't won in a while, even though they've got a lot of freshmen. You can't really rely on what's happened in the past because they're new. We don't know them. They don't know us. But that game right there in Huntsville is going to say a lot. Not saying it's going to be the definitive, but you're playing a SWAC team, Sam Shade's first home game, the Cruise Classic. I don't think we've played them at night before up there. And so I think those 2 games are going to be key, and I think those will set the table for what we have going forward, which is Mississippi State. Throw that out. And then we play Pine Bluff in Memphis before we come home to take on Prairie View. If we can get off to a good start the first half of the season, I think the midterm exam is going to be Florida A&M on their homecoming in Tallahassee. That's going to be our midterm exam. So if we can get off to a good start, I think fans will be comfortable with where Cedric Thomas is. We'll be comfortable. But this is a big year for Braves football and for Cedric Thomas.
Well,
year 2?
As Coach Pettaway said, everybody feeling good right now.
Yeah.
Everybody feeling good right now. Ain't nothing like a bad week 1 to kind of bring the Boo Birds out in full force. So, we all, touting the positives and all that sort of thing right now. I guess it's our job to kind of show both sides of the coin, no doubt about that. And, try to bring some brevity to this entire situation, kind of keep it even keel, things of that nature. But, it is what it is right now. So, we'll see shortly.
Everybody's Superman right now, huh?
But I do think, though, guys, when you open up, like, for example, when you open up with the MEAC SWAC Challenge, we've been there. Southern is in it. And I think John Grant announced the 29 game or whatever. I think he did that yesterday or the day before. That
all right. Let me engage right quick. Okay. Where did he break the story first? That's a quiz question.
Broke it here.
Good, Wheeler. Good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well,
he broke it here.
He did. Okay. All right. That one got by me. Okay. He broke it here.
Somebody wasn't paying attention in class.
I wasn't paying attention in class. That has happened throughout my educational career. I have not paid attention in class. There is nothing new there. So that's part for the course.
You're good.
You're good. Ready for prime time.
Yeah. That one got by me. But you know, when you're playing in that MEAC SWAC, when you're playing in that game, there's a lot of extra bravado that goes behind it because it's another HBCU. You know how MEAC fans and SWAC fans, we go at it, whether it's in this game or the Celebration Bowl. So when you open up with that game, or you open up Jackson State, I think opens up with Hampton, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that game is going to get a lot of bravado too because of this MEAC SWAC dynamic. So when you open up like that, it adds a little more spice to the sauce. And especially when you have a team like Southern University that's looking to get to that next level. So I think it's one thing Alabama A&M's opening up at Arkansas. That's, you know, whatever Sam Shea can get out of that, he needs to be healthy. He needs to be healthy coming home to take on Alcorn.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
You know, the big joke when we play these schools, I hear people say it all the time, you're going to need that guarantee money to pay hospital bills. I mean, you hear that joke all the time. It's not funny, but it is funny. But you know, Sam Shea's trying to get, you know, stay healthy coming out of that. But when you're playing,
you approach it strategically, Charles. You know, and if it's getting out of hand early on, you're going deep to the bench, and you know you're gonna start pulling guys up out of there, that sort of thing. And you know, so from a coaching point of view, you know, they're not gonna be stupid about the thing. You know, they're going to be strategic with it. And if it's getting out of hand early, you better believe those third and fourth string guys are going to be seeing a lot of work, that sort of thing. So, you know, it is what it is on that one. Let's get the check. And as you guys said, let's try to get out of there as healthy as we possibly can and look forward to week 2.
Yeah, and Hampton and your alma mater, no longer in the MEAC. Well, we've talked about that before.
They fight that every week.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you start off tough. You know, back in history, Coach Richardson, they signed a contract to play Northwestern State every year, and it set the tone.
Yeah.
A win. It really had the season going 500 miles an hour. They were ready, and then by the time you come into conference play, you're ready. Now, Northwestern State during that time was much better than they are right now. So, Charles, I'm going to say it right now. Prairie View defeated Northwestern State. When Coach McNair was at Alcorn, they defeated McNeese. And so I think the pressure is on Alcorn. That should be a winnable game. In my opinion, and when we'll get to our predictions later on in the season, that'll be one that they can get off to a good start with Northwestern State.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last couple of years we have not played at home early in the season. Last year was UAB and Vanderbilt, 2 guarantee games. This year we don't open up our home slate until October 5th. But the games that we have, Mississippi State aside, we got 3 games. If we play well, we can win. If we play well, we can win in Huntsville. If we play well, we can obviously win in Natchitoches. And if we play well, we can beat Pine Bluff in Memphis. And we come home to take on Prairie View. That's going to be a huge game for our home opener. And I look at Southern University. I mean, the MEAC SWAC for them is not going to define their season, as some people have put in the chat group. But still, you want to get off to a solid start. And if you can beat Valley and go 2-0 to start, I mean, I think that'll be a heck of a start for Southern University.
Mm-hmm. And then the following week, the next opponent, Fresno State. I would not expect to lose by 40 points, but as you often said, you're playing with house money, no pressure on you, Coach Pettaway. You go and play, and then you come back, and then you get ready for the rest of the September, which will be off date, and then Jackson State, the big one. And then, I forgot, Alabama State, no pushover. No pushover in the Pete Richardson Classic. So if they get through that gauntlet of games and they coming out in a plus, I think they're on their way. And if they are able to get a championship, they would have earned it, Wheeler. You know, not playing no patches. You know, I remember when the first opening 2 games would be played up against FBS, but they were able to salvage the season and put themselves in a position to play for their goal. That is a championship.
If they go out to Fresno 2-0, you know, feeling good about themselves, that sort of thing, even if they go out there and take an L, you know, if they're playing hard, they're feeling good about where they're at, that sort of thing, it helps to set things up, you know, going into week 3 and 4 and on and on. So, you know, I just think you guys will be ready. I think you guys will be ready.
Well, there was a question, Carlos, as far as Alcorn is concerned. We talked about the Braves. You know, the quarterback position is the key to all of this for us. Defensively, I think we can get off the field. We can make plays. Our running game with Ja'Cory and Sewell and our plethora of backs, you know, we're going to ground and pound and run the football. But the quarterback position is going to be the key. And right now, Trey Lawrence is our number 1 quarterback, I believe. The depth chart will be coming out, I think, Monday or Tuesday. Classes start for us Monday, by the way. We're talking about that in the last hour. Classes start for us on Monday. We're still practicing at 7:15 in the morning. And so that doesn't change. But the quarterback position is the key for us.
Now, Charles, is the heat administrative heat or is it fan heat?
I think it's fan heat.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, you can live with the fan heat. I mean, the fan heat.
Good point.
Yeah, you just keep it moving on that one.
Now keep in mind
administrative heat. If it's administrative heat, now that's a different kind of heat.
Well, keep in mind, our president is a former football player. He played with Steve McNair, so he knows. Dr. Cook knows what he's looking at. It's hard to tell him.
But I don't know that he learned any lessons there. Because if he did, he would have kept McNair.
Well,
I have to question his decision-making skills up there, and whether or not it was something else in play. Ultimately, with that, I would have done whatever it took to keep the man in the fold.
I understand, but you can only offer what you can afford to offer.
That's true too.
And so at the end of the day,
at the same time, you need to be able to afford. You need to be able to make a man feel his worth.
I agree with that.
If you're not able to go to the wall with it, I understand.
Yeah.
But there's some things you can do to make me feel that you went to the wall and you just wasn't able to get over the top.
Yeah. Hey, Will, I got one for you. They should have added some. All they had to do, Charles, was add staples to the package. Remember, Charles, years ago when Coach Whitney first retired and I interviewed for the Alcorn job, and in the interview process, they brought up staples to me. And I didn't understand what they were talking about. Staples? Yeah, so you never had to buy any meats or vegetables. No, man, you give me my money.
I just sold. I know that,
right? Yeah. Well,
so they could have added some staples for Coach.
Well, I agree with that too. And I was thinking about it because we were talking about it last week briefly. And so when we're talking about evaluating a coach, we all know what Coach McNair did in totality, right? His whole time that he was at Alcorn. So on the front end of it, he obviously picked up where Jay Hobson left off, winning division titles, going to SWAC championship games. We're 0-3 in the Celebration Bowl, so you can put that on the table, but for the most part, success. Then after COVID, we didn't play, and the bottom fell out. And so the previous president didn't do much as far as extending him or anything, and then Dr. Cook comes in, and then that's when the bottom starts falling out. Do you, as a new president, as a new administrator, do you evaluate the front end in terms of what he did years ago prior to you coming, or do you look at the recent results which was the last couple of years, despite COVID and not playing, weren't the best. And now you're looking, his contract's coming to an end. There were some offers out there, couple of different deals, one for 3 years, one for 4 years. The money wasn't quite what he was looking for, obviously. But how do you evaluate that when you're a new president? What was done previously, you weren't there, and now you're trying to evaluate the whole package.
I think you gotta look at the fact of the matter being, number one, where are you from a budgetary point of view? And if you're 3 shades away from the bottom, but your team is constantly in the hunt year after year, that sort of thing, then that says a lot about the coach, about the person that you have in place.
And we were there.
So I would have to have weighed that portion of it very, very heavily. This man has done more with less.
Yep, that's right.
I might need to try to keep him around. Yep. Unless I know of somebody else that's out there that I feel confident about that can do just as much, if not more, with less.
Right.
Because the key word there is going to be less.
Right.
The less part ain't changing. So with that in mind, I got to weigh that part a little bit more heavier than all the other things that go along with that. Yeah. So when I'm asking that question and I'm looking potentially at another coach, one of the first questions that need to be an answer to is, can he do more with less? So that would have been question number one for Thomas, even though, we hired from within, that sort of thing. I would have needed to feel comfortable that should I move on from McNair, that I got somebody else in mind that's going to be able to turn the same tricks that McNair turned, okay, being the budget being where it is.
Well, so that's exactly what happened, Wheeler. So the time frame on that in December, the contract was technically supposed to end at the end of December, but it really ended at the end of school term, third week in December. And so I was told that our president said, as far as a coaching decision, my next coach is, I got a ram in the bush. Quote, this is his quote now. I got a ram in the bush and he ain't far. So he knew who he wanted just in case Coach McNair decided not to take the deal. So he already knew who his next coach was going to be.
But it almost sounds like, Charles, that he was kind of hoping McNair wouldn't take the deal. That's what I mean. That's kind of a feel that I get.
No.
Would 25 more thousand have made a difference?
Well,
from the alum somewhere.
An
alumni thing or booster club thing or something like that to kind of get me a little closer. I can't get him what he wants, but I can make him feel, once again, that I went the extra mile in terms of trying to get him what his worth is.
Yeah, but Will, let me just say this now real quick. That ram in the bush, it only worked one time. To my knowledge, it has only worked one time. The ram in the bush.
Who was that?
The real ram in the bush.
Come on.
It only worked one time.
From a religious standpoint, yeah. Yeah. and you know what? Out from the outside looking in, I guess the question would be, and I know from a financial standpoint, they can only do so much, but did they do otherwise as much as they could have to sweeten it? If I remember, back to the spring when they decided not to participate, Charles, correct me if I'm wrong. Coach McNair was more concerned about not having a strength and conditioning coach in place. He was more worried about harm coming to the student athletes.
Right.
And then I think the totality, the whole body of work has to be examined. I hear Willer say that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not what have you done for me lately, because when they went to the Western Division, they had kind of two subpar seasons. But he, in my opinion, earned the right to quote unquote turn around. And then something else stunning that you said, and it wasn't a scientific poll, but you being in the midst of going on. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said 65 to 35. 65% of the people wanted to move on. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, this is based on an alum that I talk to very often.
Right.
That has the pulse of alums in the chat
and to
room.
me, that part don't count. To me, that part don't count.
Well, I'm just saying
it tells me all
way down the rung, the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be way down the ladder in terms of consideration.
And really, if they're not pumping any money, and if that group is not pumping any money into the program, man, they get zero from me. Zero.
And we ain't talking about pumping in a few dollars, Coach Pettaway.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
A major pump.
Right.
We're talking about the Alaskan pipeline here. You know, they got to be really, really grinding it out.
Yeah, well, there are people that were pumping money into our Tomorrow's Club fund. We have different funds, but at the end of the day, there was a contract offers out there, and hey, I'm whatever Coach McNair decided to do. You know, he's been good to me. Just good to Charles Edmond, good to Charles Edmond's family. My mother passed away 3 months before she passed away. She met Coach McNair for the first time, and he handed her an autographed football and a jersey. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that. And so Coach McNair has been one. He called me a couple weeks ago. So as far as that personal aspect is fine. I would just say that, you know, in today's fandom, it is what have you done lately? And then you add a transition in administration with that, when on the front end, what they're looking at is what you've done lately as compared to what you've done in the past. And so what has happened lately, we haven't won. And yet what he did in the past was wonderful. But if that president, if that AD wasn't here or wasn't around, does that really, unless you won the Super Bowl, unless you won Celebration Bowls, is that taken into consideration when you talk about lately, when you've won at a high level for a long period of time, like an Eddie Robinson, like a Pete Richardson, where no one's going to mess with those folks unless the bottom falls out. That's why I said where we were.
That's why I say, you know, your president being a football guy, quote unquote, supposedly,
should know better.
I couldn't put a lot of stock in him. I'd have to question his pedigree. You know, because if he was a true football guy, okay, and had really done his homework and saw what McNair was doing with next to nothing, okay, just seemed like somewhere up in there, the extra mile would have been taken in terms of trying to get closer to that hump. Now, I understand the dollars are what the dollars are. Okay, and I say this again, you know, but I'm going to let Coach know, Coach, this is the very best that I could do. You know, I got to make him feel that I really tried to get over that hump. I don't know if that's the case. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't anything outside of the dollars and cents that was going to persuade Coach McNair to take the contract. Maybe he overplayed his hand. I don't know. All those things have to come into play also. I'm just saying from my point of view, I would have had to do whatever was necessary and squeeze whatever lemon that was out there to try to get as close to the number, to the magic number, as I possibly could.
Let me add another thing to it too. Now that I was thinking about it. So the contract, there was a base number, but the incentives behind those numbers were added to where if he meets all those escalators and all those incentives, his salary would have been kind of what he was looking for. Now the base, I just don't think that we could have willing or able to offer any more base salary than what we offered. Maybe a couple of dollars more. But the
But
incentive part of it,
if the escalators are outweighing the base per se, okay, then that base ain't really where it needs to be.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because I know that if I gotta jump through hoops and hurdles for the base and the escalators are out of reach, then the chances of me hitting any of those escalators are pretty much gonna be slim and none. So if they were reachable escalators, Charles, then I could see me gambling and going for it, that sort of thing. If it was like 20,000 to win the national championship, the national championship,
yeah.
FCS national championship,
No, it wasn't that.
things of that nature,
No.
then you putting escalators in there, or 100%. I ain't gonna say 100% graduation rate because everybody should graduate, but if those escalators are pretty much a reach, then they might well not really be in there. They're just in there to make the contract look good.
Well, one of the incentives was, and I didn't know this until kind of later on, was even some of the guarantee games we get. He was going to get some of that, a piece of that break off, and so that I don't know what percentage it was, but if you're talking about playing a Mississippi State or going forward a USM or an Ole Miss, we got that coming up. I mean, if you're broken off some of that, then
must
that
not
could
have been that
outweigh.
much.
No, because
if we're
Willa
talking 4,000, 5,000, or something like that.
no.
Off of a $500,000.
No, I think it's a little more than that. Now, I do think it's a little more than that. I don't know the exact number, but I think it would probably be more than 4,000 or 5,000.
That's going back into the general fund. No, you know how I feel about that. I mean,
well, all I will say is that I just based on the information that I know, and I'll say this: he had Cedric Thomas all ready to go. There was a time in which a decision had to be made by 8:30 on, I can't remember what day it was, December 16th or 17th. Coach McNair met with his staff at 9 o'clock, I think, that morning. I think the decision had to be made by 8:30. He told his staff that he's moving on, and by noon we had announced that Cedric Thomas was going to be the next football coach. Like 2.5, 3 hours.
Sound like the fix was already in. That's just my thought.
And I will say
like the fix was already in.
And I will say this: I spoke to Coach McNair last Saturday. Still the same, quiet, attention, and glad to have him at Southern University. I'll just say that, and he doesn't have to take a back seat to anybody. It's shocking that he's not a head coach somewhere else, in my opinion. But I think those days are going to be there for him.
Yeah.
But he's happy doing what he's doing right now. But great guy, great coach, and you can see the difference.
And for whatever reason, Carlos, a lot of times when you go through things like that, it kind of takes you a couple years, 2-3 years to kind of really recover. I don't know if that's a good word or not, but it takes a period of time, for that to transpire.
Yeah.
Very rarely does somebody just hit it right now. Leave a job and then hit that next job like right now. That sort of thing.
Right. And the experience you have that somebody young on the staff can talk to him from his experience. Coach Graves has talked about how it's good to be able to bounce things because he has been the CEO of a football program. So, best wishes. I'm still trying to get used to him in blue and gold because, man, purple and gold is what I saw for many years. That would be like if Coach Pettaway came as a consultant to Southern University basketball.
And when you got a man that's not threatened by your experience, that sort of thing, you got a colleague that's not threatened by that, somebody that you can bounce things readily off of, that sort of thing, it's worth its weight in gold. And I know, and Coach Graves' situation, I mean, I ain't letting Coach McNair go, if at all possible. I'm trying to hog tie him, chain him to the fence or what have you. I don't want him to go.
And I think and Wheeler, you talked about the President Cook being a former player and all that. I mean, he played with his brother Steve.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there was some consideration there in terms of, despite the struggles down the stretch, I do think that there was some considerations in terms of him wanting to stay. And
Charles, you ain't got to answer this question. Did he play or did he play?
Oh, you trying to say he's not on the first? What are you trying to say, Wheeler?
Oh! You mean Tracy Cook, the player?
Did he play?
He played.
Did he play?
He was Steve McNair's tight end. Yes.
Okay.
He played.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
I just wondered.
Yeah.
I just wondered.
Yeah.
I just wondered.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes.
Because if he was a bench warmer,
I was going to say no. He was not. No.
In a whole different direction.
Possession tight end. He was a possession tight end. Yes, he was not a bench rider. I was just getting ready to. I'm just going to throw that out there. He was not riding the pine. But that was a whole difficult. Those 2 months and that process, guys, was a 2-month thing. There were contracts out there before the season ended, so there was some synergy, hoping that Coach McNair would stay despite the numbers and all. But at the end of the day, you have to respect his decision either way. And obviously, he stepped out on faith, as he said at the end, and better for it. I mean, Carlos, you've seen him. He called me a couple weeks ago, and he seems to be happier, smiling. I think he's good, but I think just his whole time when he was at Alcorn, despite the ending, I think his overall tenure, and I've talked to some people and said, what about his tenure overall? I know at the end it was tough, but just evaluate the whole ball of wax. And I think he would say it was an excellent, he did a hell of a job.
Definitely.
And see that's the thing. Because we're in a win now. Y'all joke to me about the 2-year contract. But his totality, he don't have to explain nothing to me. Not one thing. He was a winner. He helped student athletes graduate. He checked all the boxes, and I'm damn glad he's in Baton Rouge. So, Coach Pettaway, we'll end it on that. Coach Pettaway, tell him I see those Alabama and them coaches coming in there. Tell them I'm watching from Baton Rouge.
Well, the only thing you're going to see right now is a little 7-on-7. They're using 7-on-7 to warm up before the scrimmage. The scrimmage hadn't started yet, but fans are still coming in. It's a nice atmosphere. And like I said, the chase is on, gentlemen. The chase is on. Coach Shady is letting you know the chase is on.
Yes. On that note, we'll take a timeout. Well overdue. We'll look in the chat room, Charles, and see what's going on. I think they're arguing about the X's and O's and who's this and who's that. But at the end of the day, the season starts in a few weeks for most. For some, it starts early.
Alcorn starts in 12 days.
Let the games begin. We'll be back after this timeout. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. We had a long segment on Coach McNair, Coach Pettaway, and Wheeler, and Charles has disappeared. Where did he go? Where did he go? Kind of recap in hour number one. In my opinion, Jalen Woods takes the first snap for Southern University next Saturday against North Carolina Central. North Carolina Central's tough, rough, a physical football team, had a great season last year. Coach Trey Oliver, up and coming, no, we won't say up and coming, outstanding young coach. For Southern University, big news, they were able to add a fourth quarterback to the quarterback room. Some of the Jaguar Nation were concerned. I don't know, I can speak for the coaches, but they were able to bring in Ashton Struthers. He's from Memphis, Tennessee. Highly rated coming out of high school. So my point is this. I think he will be a body camp, but it'll be interesting to see after the season's over, having a spring session under his belt. I think you'll see, in other words, I think you'll see the best of him later on. They also added Kendrick Sims, 6'3", listed at 320. I wouldn't be surprised he's a little heavier than that now. You know, the big guys, but he will be someone that they can depend on later on in the season. But those are two players that are on the roster. Last Saturday, Jalen Woods, on a 51-yard pass to Morris for a touchdown. Basically gave him a few snaps, and then that's it. Again, they know. They, meaning the coaches, they know who the first unit is. The most important thing is, who are those backups? Who are those important number twos? That Wheeler, be it an injury, hopefully not, but just getting them in the game to spell the starters, that second unit is important. Fall camp, to me, is where you determine who's those second starters, who can come in if needed. And on the defensive side, we talked to Coach Miller a couple of weeks ago. He likes to rotate those players in, you know, keep them fresh. They start off, and then in fourth quarter, they get a lot of the snaps. But in between second and third quarter, he likes to play a lot of people. A question mark has been the offensive line for Southern University. The left tackle is the spot that they're looking at. The young man, James from Prairie View, I think he'll be penciled in as a starter. If not, he'll play a lot from Prairie View. So it's now at this point, coaches know what they know. Now for Southern University, it is basically game week coming up. You know, Coach Graves will meet the media, the press conference, the starting unit that will be introduced. In most cases, I've seen sometimes Southern, I want to say with Dooley, he may wait right to Saturday morning to release. but they know, Wheeler. You know.
Yeah, they know. Yeah,
you're a former player, Coach Pettaway. You know who your players are going to start. So it is what it is now. It's not the race is won not by the swiftest, but the one who endures.
Yeah.
Who can overcome adversity? Because it's going to hit at some point. For some, it may be earlier than others. Some, it may be later in the season. But by September, the end of September, I think you'll have a good take on what each team is strong in, what they need to work on. But you'll know that identity of that team, Wheeler, I believe, by the end of September.
Definitely.
You know, we talked about the Western Division, but then in the East, you know, is it Jackson State and everybody else? I mean, is that kind of how we're looking at the Eastern side of the coin?
Depends on who you ask. If you ask Jackson State fans, they're going to say Jackson State and everybody else.
Yeah. But I will say this, though, and I was going to mention this last week. Andrew Body, quarterback at Alabama State, last article I read was that he was still rehabbing. But then somebody put out a tweet that said he looked good. Mm-hmm. And so somebody brought it up in the chat group about Andrew Body in Alabama State. I think they opened up by playing up. Eddie Robinson Jr. has probably been through 11 quarterbacks since he's been there. And that's been his biggest Achilles heel, solid quarterback play or healthy quarterback play. And so if Andrew Body is healthy, I think he gives them the best chance to win if he can stay upright and stay healthy. Because their defense, just like Southern, has been championship notch. Last year, their defense was awesome. We talk about Alabama State, but they couldn't get a quarterback that can get it done. So which team could push Jackson State? It's a big year for Colsey, new administration. Don't want to get too deep in the weeds on that, but I think there's some disappointment there in Colsey in year one. Does he bounce back in year two? Is it Eddie Robinson's time to get over the hump and challenge Jackson State?
And I think if you even look at Trey Oliver, his first year, he got better as the years went on, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, how do you recover? Because if you listen, as you call it, the fandom, I see someone in the chat room, he's a Southernite saying the scheme is not, what did he say? He said the scheme is not complicated. Some things are just basic. The foundation, blocking and tackling, holding your opponent to less points, and you score more. That's a simplistic term.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, well, but that foundation, but that foundation is just like a house. Those things are constant that you have to do well. And you don't turn the ball over, and you don't hurt yourself, Wheeler.
Yeah. My question is, are any of those seats hot?
It could be a couple of seats that are warm now.
I know Colsey, this is his second year, that sort of thing, but
second
I'm
year,
kind of thinking with what he inherited, from the other guy. I guess the expectation was that he should be in the thick of things and definitely be in the hunt, and he wasn't. And Robinson at Alabama State, like you just said, he's been through I don't know how many quarterbacks over the last few years. Does he get a pass for that?
As long as he beats Alabama A&M, I think the seat stays. I'm just saying, hey, we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna have a conversation. As long as he beats Alabama A&M, I think Eddie Robinson Jr. is okay. Now, if Sam Shade wins at Magic City and you don't win the East, now we're gonna have a different conversation now. Because I've talked to A&M folks. I've talked to Bama State folks, and the first thing they bring up to me is the Magic City Classic. And really the only thing they brought up to me. Coach Pettaway is agreeing with that. I don't hear him talking about Alcorn. I don't hear him talking about Southern. I don't hear him talking about, a little bit about Jackson State.
I hear Austin Clark in my head now.
All games matter?
All games matter. I have to hear that every time? If you win the Magic City Classic and you lose all the rest of the games, Coach Pettaway wouldn't be happy. Come on.
No, I wouldn't be happy. But I tell you this: there is chatter about the Alcorn game. Our fans want to see Alabama A&M. They want to see Sam Shade get off to a good start. So that first home game is going to be a big one. And in terms of this scrimmage right now, the offense is moving the football right now. They've had 2 straight first down. And then when you get to the Magic City Classic, yes, our fans and everybody want you to win the Magic City Classic. And I think Sam Shades knows that. You got to remember this. Coach Shade grew up in Birmingham. He's from Birmingham. So he understands the Classic. He went to the Classic as a high school student. So he knows the importance of that Magic City Classic. So the Bulldogs will be ready. And that's why he keeps telling everybody, the chase is on.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing because say the offense wins one scrimmage, you want to see the defense come back. Okay, let's respond. Also, when you're talking about the Magic City Classic, I remember a former, God rest his soul, board member for Southern University. He basically told the coach, if you don't win the Bayou Classic, I'm going to personally run you out. But here comes me. No, that's a given with the Bayou Classic. That's a given with the Magic City Classic. It's a given. You know what? We have to do better at being better with just the classics, Wheeler. See, I think, Wheeler, you're an old school player. I think all games matter. I really believe. Would I be mad if they lose the Bayou Classic? Yes, but I'm also mad if they lose to Jackson State. I'm mad if they lose to FAMU. I want all of them. And they're at home this year. We got to, and I don't like to say we often, but Southern has to make good.
Well, and I hate to keep bringing this up, but there's got to be some budgetary expectations also.
Well, Alabama and their budget is right behind Southern, so
it's got to go into the mix. I ain't calling no names, but it's got to go. It's got to go into the mix in terms of the evaluative process. It just does. If I'm paying for a championship, if I'm paying to be in the hunt, okay, then I'm expecting to be in the hunt more often than not. You know, if I know I got a coach that's doing more with less and he's going above and beyond that sort of thing to keep me in the hunt, and I know I'm getting there based off of his talents more so than my dollars and cents, then I got to have some leeway there when he isn't in the hunt. You know, so I mean, all those things have to come into play. Having said that,
but
it's some seats that'll be kind of warm.
Well,
based off of a budgetary point of view. I'm not gonna call any names, anything like that, because I've been labeled a hardliner, hater, what have you.
Yes, you are. You are.
Yeah, probably rightfully so.
We lost you.
There.
There we go.
Based off of the dollars and cents that I'm putting into the budget.
Well, I thought you were taking a shot there at Southern with their budget.
No, definitely not. No.
That seat is always warm and hot. Don't matter who's in it.
Well, I think what Wheeler Brown is talking about is when you have a coach that's under several-year contract, and we know at our schools you don't buy out contracts. Mm-hmm. Coaches remain in those seats in part because the school can't afford to buy them out or her out.
That's true.
So,
one school was paying 2 salaries at the same time. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that rarely happens at our schools. I mean, so we've seen coaches stick around until their contract is up. You know, one example that's against that is my coach Broderick Fobbs, who to this day I still believe should have been given that final year at Grambling.
Definitely,
he was not.
Definitely.
He was paid over $300,000 to go away, and Grambling hadn't been the same since. So I will just you got to be careful with that. And so and Broderick Fobbs took that program from the bottom of the well. The Muscle Milk controversy was the first SWAC team to win the Celebration Bowl. That should have accounted for something. That should have bought him a little more time, at least another year in addition to that year he didn't get. So I get all that, but different administration, different president, AD, all that plays in the mix. And just like we talk about Colsey, and I see Roy Evans there. We got
to get him on.
Yeah, Roy. Yeah, where's Roy now?
I think he's in Montgomery.
I am. So I didn't expect to just be dropped into the thing. So I guess that's how it happens on my phone. I'm like, oops. So my bad. Want to say hello to everybody. Just kind of throw a little shout out there. Coach Pettaway, good to see you again. Had a great conversation that you guys will hear more about next week on the official first game or first broadcast of the BCSA Game Time Show live from the MEAC SWAC Challenge down in Atlanta next week. So we'll be doing that, man. And listen, when I tell you that Coach Pettaway and the coaches that he brought on were like dropping jewels, man, talking about the history of what just went on at A&M, this is what we want to see all across the board. And we want folks to get involved in that because we have to capture our history because nobody else is going to do it for us. And right now in the world, society, they're trying to erase us.
Yes, sir.
And so we want to do that. We got to make sure that we're the ones responsible for picking up that history. But yeah, man, Carlos, we decided to hold back. I'm like, you know what? Because Carlos helps us be who we are, and his show is so great. We cannot cut in and do live until after they finish the Carlos Brown show. So when y'all finish the Carlos Brown show, stay on the lookout. It'll be on his page. It'll be on Doc's page. It'll be on all different pages. You'll actually be able to catch us live here from the BuzzFest 2025. We are at Alabama State University here on the campus and at the stadium. They're right now finishing up the workout. You know, Coach, we can't show none of the scrimmage on video. Coach won't have none of that. So we're doing that, but we'll be talking to a lot of different coaches here on campus, players, folks involved with the program. We actually did a special feature with the ASU esports team. Jaws getting ready to come in. He's going to start doing that for us. Our esports programming is going to get nuts for you guys. Have a lot of fun. Hey, listen, Coach and Charles and Wheeler and Carlos, the esports piece is our opportunity and our pull to get more of the young folks engaged in what we do. Because we know most of us are a little seasoned, and we enjoy that, though. And, you know, we hear video games and think about, well, how many quarters do I need? Well, you know, we won't get into none of that. So,
yeah.
I didn't want to jump in. So, wait, what was the conversation that I missed? Because I just missed it. I'm mad now. What did I miss? I heard Cozy. Somebody was talking about FAMU, Charles. What's that all about?
I didn't stutter.
The hot seat.
I didn't stutter. Only reason why I brought Cozy's name up, Roy, and you know this better than me. You know when it comes to administrative changes, president changes, FAMU and the AD situation, Cozy kind of underachieved. It was year one.
Oh, okay.
I'm pulling for him now, but you got a new sheriff in town. Does the expectation get ratcheted up for year two?
Well, you know the reality.
Points on it for homecoming.
Say again, Carlos.
FAMU's gonna put 40 plus on them for homecoming because they're
listening. Look, I'm gonna tell you something. Losing the Valley put him on the hot seat. I ain't even gonna lie. So we got to have a top 2 finish this year. Them Rattlers don't. Hey, look, we Rattlers don't play that best, man. There's some folks out there probably ready to hang it. I think Coach is a good guy, and look at him going there. So. But guys, I just wanted to tell everybody right after the Carlos Brown show, please stay tuned and tune in to what we got going on at BuzzFest. But definitely you'll be hearing more about what we'll have next week. It's going to be great, man. We're doing this. So all you ASU fans out there, y'all jump on and support your program. Thanks, folks.
All right.
All right.
I was gonna ask Roy because I believe I'll let him announce it if it'll be official. Jackson State and Southern Black College Sports Network, I believe will be there, and I'll perhaps do the show in conjunction with Game Time.
Yeah,
that's Wheeler. You know how to Southern Jackson State, man.
Oh boy. Well, I know.
Yeah, Carlos, they're coming to Huntsville too. They announced this week that BCSN is coming. I think it's in November. I'm not sure about the date, but I do know that Alabama A&M does have a date with them also. And we had a great time on Thursday, man. And right now, the scrimmage, the second team is I think it's the second team out on the field now, and they're moving the football. Nobody scored yet, but at least the defense, we've had some great licks. Oh, no, that's the first string quarterback. That's Brown on the field now. So the first unit is on the field now, and they're showing some good things, and we've had some great hits so far in this scrimmage.
Tough and physical. Well, we've got about 2.5 minutes left here on the Carlos Brown Show. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Man, it's been a long week. The school system in Baton Rouge, we started back our first full week. And, hey, I'm a little tired, but the show goes on. With that being said, yes, Roy said, go ahead.
Carlos, in the future, we need to get Ty Floyd on. You know, she's the new play-by-play person for Alabama A&M football. She's a female. She'll be the first full-time play-by-play person, and she'll also be doing the coaches show. She's a very vibrant young lady. I had an opportunity to work with her last year doing the basketball broadcast, and I think your fans will be happy to hear from her. She's a very lovely person, man, and we need to try to work it out so that you can get her on before the season starts.
I can almost get it. Yep, will do. I had a lady reach out to me, and they're in the sports world too. Said, Carlos, you need to have some ladies on the panel to join the panel. So I'm gonna try to make that happen. EA in the chat room, no, you're not coming on. You're not coming on because you're a troublemaker. You're a troublemaker. Nah, but I appreciate EA and Dr. Kerry and all of those. Crook Crook's everywhere. Crook likes to start mess. Throw a rock and don't hide his hand. But we appreciate everyone. That's gonna do it for this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show. Next week, it's unfortunately I'm not going to be in Atlanta, but my eyes will be there, as Mr. Grant says. Eyes watching for Southern University. For Willer, Coach Pettaway, and Charles with that chant. And by the way, the hot seat, we'll continue that next week. It's a couple of them on the hot seat. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Until next time, peace and God bless.
Go Bulldogs.